We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Warning. The following program contains explicit language and mature content. It is not meant for the easily offended. So if you are an emotional pussy, please refrain from listening. Thank you and enjoy.
Back at it, the Words on Fire podcast. Your boy Cujo, my man Jules.
Yeah.
Finally back after a little hiatus. As y'all know, like I said, I've been coaching a little football team, and one of my younger teams that really didn't help, but they gave me a championship in spirit. Came through, so we were celebrating the last week and a half or so. So that's why we were on a little break. Follow us on the Instagram at the Words on Fire podcast, YouTube, same handle. What else are we? Google, Spotify, all audio podcast platforms. Blah 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 blah. If you're here on the YouTube, where's the video right there? There's a bell, notification, hit all that stuff, so you guys could keep in contact when we put something out new. Today we have something a little bit different. We have a special guest. Is the founder, I believe, owner, CEO, the whole nine of the Jazz Exchange. She is a El Pasoan, but via New York now. I guess she was adopted New Yorkan. I guess, is that the right word? New Yorkan? I don't know if that's the right word.
Guess, yeah. New Yorkan.
New Yorkan.
It is now. It is now.
She goes by the name of Candice Reyes-Mireles, right?
Yes.
She is part of the Jazz Exchange, brand new. It's a nonprofit here in El Paso. Candice, first of all, welcome. Thank you for taking the time and coming out here and educating us on all things, hopefully jazz and everything that's going on. Tell us a little bit about the Jazz Exchange.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's super excited to be on podcasts and talking with different people. Especially thank you for what you do, spreading some, good stuff out there.
Yeah,
however you do it, but spreading it good. So I'm the executive director and I'm the founder of the Jazz Exchange. It's been running. Well, we're new to the nonprofit world. When I was we were originally living in New Jersey, worked in New York. We had the Jazz Exchange, but as an LLC. And so as we were doing work and doing different programming over there, we started noticing we're like, you know what? I think we're more of a nonprofit. We do a lot more community-based work, and we were involved with the community. We try to get people to play music. We were involved with, working with partnerships. And so I worked, several years in different nonprofits in New York City and in New Jersey. And so as I started understanding a little bit more on the nonprofit world, I was like, you know what? I think this is what I want it to be. I want it to be a nonprofit. It's about serving the community, coming back and really paying it forward. And having that kind of mentorship, in New York City, some of the top, nonprofits and things and how they work, especially like in such a big city like that. I really got to see like, how can I do something like that for my community? Yeah. And so after living there for 10 years, it was like me and my husband, we have a successful career in music. We were doing a lot of stuff here before we even moving to New Jersey and New York. And so after being there, I mean, we just had so many great opportunities that obviously if you're not there, you don't have those kinds of opportunities. Right. But everybody keeps asking me like, why did you guys come back to El Paso? And I'm like,
that was my next question.
Yeah, but you know what? First of all, like, it's home. Like, this is my home. There's as great as New York and New Jersey are, it doesn't compare to El Paso. Right. Like, believe it or not. Yeah. It's like when you grow up here, this is what it is, and you're used to that. But at the same time too, it was like family, friends, everybody. But then as we would come and visit like every year, there was just something kind of telling both of us kind of like, you know what? We need to pay it back somehow. How do we help the next generation? Because when we were growing up, we had some nonprofits here in El Paso that have died off already. Yeah. That we got scholarships. We had opportunities to play. That's what helped me become, okay, I'm into music. I have some people supporting me, backing me up. And that's why we got to where we got to. And I feel like coming back, we didn't see something in the jazz part in particular.
Right.
I'm speaking more on the jazz
Okay.
scene. There's a lot of great nonprofits out there supporting communities, but I'm more
As far as on jazz.
Yeah, specifically like jazz education, music education on that end. And so that's the reason why we kind of said, you know what, I think we're going to come back now. I think it's time. Like, we've learned a lot. We have good resources, good connections from the East Coast, that now we can do kind of our own thing and start bringing the East Coast to El Paso.
Is there a lot of talent here in El Paso?
Of course, 100%. There is totally...
He's also mind blown.
You know why I say that, and I know for a fact is, one, we just recently had our summer workshop. This is the first time we did a summer workshop ever in El Paso, and the summer workshop, we held it here at Pebble Hills High School.
Okay,
and we just opened it up to all school districts. We said we're gonna go visit every school that we can as in the short period of time that we decided to make this happen. And let's see who comes. I was like, if we get 10 kids, I'll be happy.
Right.
That's my goal, because we're still, people don't know what's going on. You know, they don't really know. We ended up getting 40 kids.
Oh, shit.
From Isleta Independent School Districts, Socorro, and EPISD, and I think one from Clint.
Okay.
Obviously, there's still more districts that we want to get to, but in the short time frame that we had, I was really happy to see 40 students,
right,
different, musicians playing different instruments, coming out and hungry for this music. Jazz American art form. It's born here. This is the music from here. And that's something that I teach kids, like, this music is your music. I don't care if you're, if you're from Juarez, that's cool, but you're living here, this is American music. If you're from Mexico, the music is mariachi music. That's your music, right?
Yeah.
I said, jazz was created here in the United States. This is the only music and art form that has been created here in the States. And from there, it has spread out to country. It has spread out to rock. It has spread out to rap, hip hop, all that stuff. It's the originator.
Yeah, it's from the
blues,
original.
everything. Everything from jazz becomes everything. It's like the root, right? And then the branches, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that like has been missed or has been lost in teaching music here, And don't get me wrong, I love my cumbias, I love my norteños, like I love the music Mexicano, like from here. We're a border town, so we're listening to that stuff. I love country. I love every style of music.
You lost me there.
Well, I mean, countries. I'll go to a certain extent. It is an acquired taste.
It's good for you. It's good for the soul.
You know what I love about country that I always tell people is, like, there's always a really good story.
Yeah.
And this is like old school country. I'm not talking about like more modern country. Maybe I haven't listened to it enough.
You're not missing nothing.
Well, yeah, maybe I gotta check it out. But I always say, like, the story is so good.
Yeah.
The stories are always really good in country music. If you really listen to the music and the lyrics, I always say, like, that's the way I connect to music.
Yeah.
Well, I like George Strait and all those,
See, but he's a storyteller.
Yeah. See,
I
that's
like
old
that.
school.
All this other
he's a great
stuff.
storyteller. He doesn't really sing. If you really hear him, he just talks.
I like the Urban
is
Cowboy
dope.
soundtrack. I mean, that's about as crazy as I get,
Urban
That's
Cowboy
cool.
fed.
That's cool. Now, let me ask you guys this. Like, have you listened to jazz music? Like,
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
See,
Who do you
I
like?
would listen to Coltrane. I listen to Miles Davis. You see, the only jazz I've ever heard has been the legends. I haven't. I heard. So when I was listening to your stuff, there was a group that followed after you. I can't remember this cat's name for the life of me. It was a trio out of. It was a Southern trio, Duke something. I can't remember what his name was. It's awesome. I just. See, so the difference with generations, right? Because both of us are older. I'm in my mid 40s and
Young.
Yeah, we won't talk about my age.
Young.
Yeah, we're older, so we have a different. I guess we grew up differently, and with us, especially Jules here, this dude, he's got such an appreciation for, like, we love, as you can tell by the Wu-Tang, right? A lot of like old school East Coast rap, like when you listen to Tribe Called Quest, a lot of it is jazz infused. A lot of it is jazz,
100%.
and when you actually sit and listen to certain things, you're like, dude, where'd they get this from? Then you hear you start seeing all the stuff where the
our
all the
generation,
producers talk about it as, I've gone into the record store and I'm listening to this, and so then you start listening to where it originally came from. You hear the original sound from it, like from Cream. The original Cream was cut up by like 4 different sections of 4 different people, and you hear it, it's like, holy shit.
Yep.
It's mind blowing. So I personally, as an appreciation of music, I love to know where things came from.
100%.
You know what I mean?
That's great.
And that's something that I think a lot of people nowadays don't do that. Like even like the other day, there was a hip hop song out right now that came out. I can't remember what the name of the song is, but it featured like one of the old Ja Rule songs. And then my son's like, "Oh, have you heard this?" I thought, "Dude, that's just from like 30 years ago."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even back then, it was trash. Like,
But I mean, everything gets recycled. You know
It
what
does.
I'm saying?
It does.
Like newer generations, that they were mind blown by Lady Gaga.
Right.
Right.
I grew up with Madonna, so that's not shocking
That's
to me.
original.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as hip hop, jazz, I started getting into jazz as far as through hip hop because there's this guy named Guru.
Yeah.
Guru Jazzmatazz, and then
Yeah.
he had like a
MF Doom.
Yeah, they all influenced by jazz, and that's how I got into exploring that side of it, and then blues, more better blues, Spike Lee, and then listening to their soundtrack, and that was a gateway to everything. Hip hop, like expand my horizon on every which way.
For sure. And you know what's interesting about that is that I worked in last year before moving back here. I worked in Harlem. And so I worked as a summer camp director at Harlem School of the Arts. And this is all like Black community. This is like, I'm literally in the hood. Like I'm there in that neighborhood, understanding the community, understanding like the culture, understanding the music, everything, the appreciation of where it comes from. Yeah. And so, having the Black community like open their arms and being, very kind to say, you respect this music, you love it, by all means, like, if you're learning about it, and, I have such an appreciation for that. Yeah. And listening to like, there was a moment where we were teaching kids about like, the hip hop music and the rap music, and how, it even got to the point where it was like, when you hear like Ella Fitzgerald, like scat singing like, ba ba bo big Buddha, and you have that like thing, you also start understanding like, where does improvisation come? And then then you hear like rappers doing their improv, like they're freestyling over, and it's the same thing. It has obviously it's words and it's different things in different ways, but it comes from the same root of what improvisation is, what Black American music is all about. And I always remind people, Black American music and jazz music is about freedom, it's about justice, it's about pain, it's about everything that they have gone through. That's what that music is about.
It's all expressed that way,
and it's so deep, you know what I mean? Like,
when it gets dark, they're expressing their pain. It's just
it's a very, and I had to learn that when you're not from a culture like that, and you don't know that. I can just say, like I had living here, I was like, I listened to Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae, Billie Holiday. I was like, and I come from a family of musicians. My mom's a singer, my dad's a trombone player, vocalist. My brothers also, they play music, and so like the appreciation was already a little bit even deeper, right, for me. But I still didn't understand the culture that much. And so when I went into like New Jersey and New York and the East Coast and having that like experience, I was like, I get it. I understand. Yeah. I'll never fully understand because I never went through some of the things that they've gone through. Right. But you get the story. I respect it. I understand. I know where it's coming from. And I think that's the biggest thing that Black community wants people to understand when it comes to that music.
When they talk about like, hip hop, for example, they act like a lot of people act like it's everything sounds the same, but there's different genres.
100%.
They call it quote unquote
the
gangster rap, but they're talking about the same thing. They're just using different words from the West Coast.
Yeah, well, from their experiences.
Their
personal experiences.
Personal experiences.
Exactly.
And educating people exactly for like jazz. If you explain to them what they're hearing, they'll start hearing it differently. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Because,
Just educating them.
Yeah. And I've even went into a class before, and it was like this class, and I was like, I sat down with all these kids. I literally, and I was working with this other nonprofit where we support music classes, because believe it or not, in New York, they don't even have like music classes. They stopped like fine arts music in most of the public schools
because of funding.
Yeah. Not in the private schools. Private schools have money and they can do that, but so there's a lot of like third party contractors and nonprofits supporting that, like, arts, right? And so anyways, long story short is I ended up going into this classroom. I'm trying to remember the name of that movie. Like, I think it was Freedom Riders with what's her name, where she's a teacher and she goes in and they're all like bad kids from like Black community, Latino community. It's like an old school like 90s movie.
Fucking Dangerous Minds.
Is it like
Michelle Pfeiffer's Dangerous Minds?
What's her name? The girl who plays the boxer also. Man, I'm forgetting.
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank's a teacher. She comes in.
And
I
know what you're
you know
talking
which
about,
movie it is? Okay. I literally felt like that. Like, I walked in and they like saw me kind of like, I'm fairly light skinned, and like they don't see me as like a Mexican girl. Like,
No, you're Puerto Rican over there.
Yeah, it's either Puerto Rican but then that's the community over there. So either Dominican Republic, Puerto Rican, and then it's like the Black community, and then you get like one or two white American kids. Yeah. And like I sat there and they were like, "Miss, you're the teacher?" And I was like, "I'm the sub right now." Everybody, we're gonna sit down. It was like, "Oh no, I'm playing video games." Like, it was just like this chaos. Like, what is going on? What did I just walk into? Yeah. But I was trying not to like judge, right? Because I was like, I understand like hard neighborhoods, whatever. I was like, guys, just sit down. And then they're like, oh shit, they're cussing. And I was like, wait, guys, come on, we're in school right now, let's just be cool. And then we sat down and I was like, all right, you know what? We're gonna talk about music. I just want to know what you guys are listening to right now. What is it that you listen to? And then I said, pull out your phone and tell me like what's the first song that comes out on your Spotify or your YouTube, whatever. And then they're like, "Miss, but like this one has a lot of cuss words and stuff." I was like, okay, that's cool, but like,
yeah,
what is this song? And then one of them's like, "Oh, this is from Da Baby." Okay. And I'm like, honestly, I was like,
Who's baby?
Who's baby? Wait, you have a baby?
Whose baby's playing?
Yeah, but and then they were like, "No, miss, that's the rapper, the Baby." I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, "What is the song that you have?" And he told me the song, and then I was like, "What is it about?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Listen to it.
And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, aren't you listening to this music? Like, and I was like, that's the problem with you guys right now, is that you're not listening to what this music is. And whatever that message is in that song is how you are, what you believe, what you don't believe. I was like, listen to what you're like, what you believe in, what
they're rapping about.
And so it was like, it ended up being such a cool experience. Transition of the classroom, where like at first it was like, who are you, what, like I don't like this, like this is a boring class, till I got like personal. I was like, what are you listening to? Why don't you like this song? And then it was crazy because I had like these group of girls. They were like, they were talking in Spanish, like esta maestra no sabe nada aquí. And I was like, y yo sabe hablar en español, por favor. Así que, and I was just like, and it was like the respect became different, and so I
you
finally,
them,
exactly. And so that was like one of my coolest experiences, like with kids in the hood, like really walking into something that like, what? Like, it's interesting.
It's because kids don't like to be talked to. They like to be talked with. They like to be discussed. They don't want to be talked to like they're idiots.
Yeah.
You got to bring them up like you would here, like normal sit down. You see that
conversation.
That's one of the most important things that I know. We've talked about it because of social media and all that. Everybody's on their phones and nobody knows how to conversate anymore. No. Everything is just post, or let me see who can get more of the likes, more followers.
Like my little girls would have friends over, quiet as hell.
Yep.
And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Everybody's on their phone.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you had company. Yeah, I do. Everybody's quiet. I was like,
it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only way people get
social
through
skills.
Barriers.
Yeah.
Through that. Let me go a little bit back about what you had said earlier with music, with the jazz music actually being born in the States. Why was I thinking it was more of a French vibe to it? Why was I thinking? Because I guess my whole thought, because anytime anybody, I guess that's older, you hear jazz, you think New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
And New Orleans is
That's
a lot
where
of
it was
Creole,
born.
a lot of French inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always thought jazz derived from that, from like the French inspiration. But
No. So I mean that's a good assumption, I guess I
Yeah.
would say, right? Like it was born in New Orleans. I mean, like New Orleans is like, I tell people, okay, it was born here, it started here, but where did it start, like specifically? And it was like, it's here in the United States. It's New Orleans. That's like the Mecca where it kind of started. Louis Armstrong, like some of these like old school. And then if you go back a little bit, like I even started looking into where, like, how did Louis Armstrong even come into play, right? Like, how did that even happen? You go back a little bit further, and there's like King Oliver, and these were like trumpet, cornet players that were playing with the army, and like, but they could play some things. But Louis Armstrong was the person that changed the game in jazz American music when it came to, there's like the earliest recording of jazz improvisation. And I've heard this through several historians. It's like, he was like in a room and they were like getting ready to play, and so they started playing the song, and then he was gonna sing, and he has such a unique
Distinct
voice, right?
voice.
A distinct voice, and so everybody knew it was Louis Armstrong, and then he forgot the words. So then when he forgot the words, he just started like shabba-dabba.
So that's where the scat came from.
And that's where like scat started becoming like, wait, he's trying to sound like an instrument because, he forgot the words, but he's still trying to connect through the music. And so I'd have to share that with you, like the earliest recording of what they thought was like scat, the first scat, singing. And that comes from Louis Armstrong. And so he's definitely a legend and an icon that has changed the music that became, even more like big, it became from swing music to big band music. And then it, and it just started kind of evolving. But there's also controversy on how, like, didn't jazz music come from Africa? Well, people have theories and thoughts that, yes.
That's where I thought it came from.
So the people come from Africa, right? They come from Africa. And this is something I literally tell, like, even elementary kids. Like, I gave them, like, a spiel. How do I tell kids that Black American people came to, were slaves here in the United States? I just say, imagine you're, like, in your town, and you're here, and you go to school, and everybody, and everybody's here. All of a sudden, they just take you on a boat, and you don't know where you're going, and you don't see your family anymore. And then you show up, you're just seeing land. You don't even see land, you see water. You don't know where you're going. You finally land somewhere, and then they put you to work to start picking cotton.
Not only that, they change your name.
They change your name.
They take your culture.
It wipes out everything.
Everything.
So at this point, you don't even see your grandma. And I had pictures, and the only reason I know this is because I worked with this she's a great musician, and she's an educator, and she had this like way of teaching jazz music to kinder kids, right? And it was all about talking about what this music is about and how it makes you feel. And then we finally just said, they come and they're picking cotton. Imagine you're like outside right now. Everybody understands like 115-degree weather, no water, the bathrooms are far over there, and then I say, can you feel your t-shirts right now? That's made out of cotton. Can you feel your socks? Or, I said, how nice that we can have that, right? And I was like, these people would pick this cotton and it would have thorns. I go like so deep, like very basic. And then I said, how would you feel if you had to do that? And a lot of them were like, hot, sad.
Quick question though.
Yeah.
I haven't been in school in a very long time, but can we still talk about that?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
That hasn't been changed yet.
Okay.
With all the pronouns and
yeah,
everything else.
No.
All the theory, all the theory that's out there.
I'm glad you could tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as education, and it's a lot of the truth is uncomfortable. But we have to have
dark.
It's very dark, but we have to have that conversation.
Yep.
100%.
So we could understand and move forward to everything. But whose truth are you telling? That you know, and then all the books, the textbooks. They leave a lot of.
They leave a lot of things out, right? Yeah. That kind of say, it becomes like, and we can get more political into it. But what I just say is like, just if we can get to the point where we can tell the kids, what does this music should have an expression and a feeling.
Right.
If you don't have feeling or expression, you're not doing music. I was like, and so my example literally was just like, I'm going to sing the blues. And that's how the blues started.
Exactly.
Because they were out and, struggling, water, people were dying,
times.
Miserable, whatever the case may be.
Where it originates, and you just got to tell the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it comes also from their spirituality, their belief in God, their belief in hope that one day their life is going to be better. And so I literally would sing to the kids and I'd just be like, okay, I'm going to say something. And if you feel the same way, I want you to give me a right? And they were like, yeah. So then I would just be like, I'm feeling sad today. And then some of the kids,
I'd be like, amen.
you know what I mean? And I said, and that's the part where, I'm feeling hungry today because I have no water. And then they would be like, or I miss my mommy today because they're little kids, right? And they're like, you know what I mean?
You're trying to make them cry. And
shit. but then it's like, now I'm getting to the root of like, this is an expression. This isn't a feeling. And that's where the music comes. Like, set aside the political views of everything now. Now we're just talking about how we feel.
Right.
And that, for me, is like, we should start that at that age now.
Definitely.
Because at this point, kids, there's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of stuff happening. They don't know how to deal with things anymore.
Yep.
When and I say, music should make you feel good. There's going to be times where it helps you and it makes you cry.
Yep.
It makes you, I was like, music is the closest thing that therapy that we have every day.
Absolutely.
Wherever you go.
It could change your mood.
It could change your mood. It can make you good, bad, whatever.
Dude, music is one of the only. So, Jules will tell you I'm a toddler, right? Because like when I don't sleep, I'm very in my feelings. Like when I'm going on 3 or 4 hours, I'm like anything. I'm very emotional, and there's times where I just put on certain songs. And I'm like, ooh, like you bring a tear to my eye. I was like, God, I'm a grown ass man crying over a song.
But that's okay.
And
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because music's the only one thing that could do that. It brings you back. Music can transport you to a spot where you were in your life when you first heard it, and you're like, good or bad, everything from the sounds, from the taste, the people that were there come into your head, and it's fucking amazing, and it's something that I think people don't give it as much credit as they should. Everything's a lot more downplayed with everything else, and that's why some of the biggest musicians have so many hardships in their life.
Well, they're depressed individuals. A lot of the artists and
I always say I think everybody needs some kind of therapy. Everybody needs music therapy.
Their outlet, their
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what I was like when you get in the car. Like sometimes people just like I was like when you're at a funeral, you're listening to sad music. You're doing this, but at the end of the day, this is why me and my husband decided we're like we had to have this nonprofit. We had to give back to the community. If it felt right to come back, as hard as it was, set aside like. We could have thought about ourselves and said, like, we're going to keep going with our career. Like, my husband was doing some really cool things. He was playing for the Rockefeller Center, the lighting of the Christmas tree. He played with John Legend. He played with, like, Martina McBride. He's played with, like, some of these, like, great, amazing musicians as a saxophone player on the, the sideline from Juarez.
Damn.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Like, And now we can come back and these kids can relate and see us and say, they're from here. If they can do it, why can't I do it? And that's where I felt like the most gratification to be able to say, I'm going to come back, set aside what I want to do or, but this is what I want to do. I felt like this was my calling. And, we kind of like, we're very spiritual too. So we're like, we prayed about it. We're like, man, like, I hope we're making the right decision.
Right.
But it feels right. It feels right that we're helping kids and we're doing these kinds of programs. And that's what it's about. I don't know.
You're just trying to help out and try to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
I know. You guys are probably like, oh man, we usually crack up and do all these things. But like, I get so deep into like the passion of how this music can like change your life. Like,
but that's something that's refreshing when you have somebody who actually gives a shit about a certain project or like you said, with music or anything in general, what they believe in and is so passionate about it, something like that is what really brings non-believers to give something a try. And that's all at the end of the day that we want to try to, help people just open your minds to different things. That's the only way you're going to get any experiences with anybody, good or bad. You said, at least I give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, the kids now, they got that short attention span,
Yep.
so
Yes.
they don't listen to a full album.
Gotta get the hook.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotta get the hook. Gotta get the main songs.
Yeah, and then an album tells a story. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So they just hear one part, and then they just stay
Right.
at this song. I'm like, dude,
This is my favorite
There's
song.
a part two. There's a part two to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's
He
a
felt that
follow-up.
way. Yeah, like, Illmatic. That's a whole story, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah, and this is that brings me to one of our programs that we do. So we've been running this program. It's called the Secret Shows, and literally it's a secret.
Right.
That's why we call them secrets. So people don't know where they're going and who they're gonna listen to. It's just you just show up.
Wow.
So we give you kind of like a hint. Obviously, you'll know what part of town. So we have one coming up this August 20th. It's a Sunday, and it's gonna be in the downtown area. And so pretty much the area. At least it's in downtown, so you're gonna drive to downtown.
Yeah.
And you have to purchase the ticket, and 24 hours before we'll send you the address of the venue, but you still don't know who's
Who or
playing.
what? Okay.
So it kind of gives also talking about social media, we're so used to just scrolling. Oh, I've been there. It was all right.
Yeah.
I've heard this band. We're not pleased, or we're not entertained with anything anymore. We just kind of know everything now by scrolling. And so sometimes it's just come, just
Yeah.
experience it. And you might think, oh, jazz music. I tell the kids, you might think it's grandpa music, but it's not.
It influences everything.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so these secret shows, you buy your ticket ahead of time online, and then you show up and you come enjoy. And we usually have, the way it works is we have an emerging artist. So an emerging artist will open up the set. So sometimes it's students from UTEP, or they're starting their band, or they're just graduating from music degrees, or it could just be even just a new project, even if they're old, or it doesn't matter their age, just a new project, a band. And then they play for about 30 minutes. And then we have a featured band, which is maybe a group that has been playing for a long time. They're more seasoned. They've been doing their thing. They have a following, all that stuff. And it really brings also mentorship between one, we're connecting the younger generation to the older generation,
Right.
and that mentorship and apprenticeship between the two. And then we're also teaching the audience members that this is not background music. I want you guys to sit and listen. Don't talk. We're not the little band that's just playing and everyone's having a drink. And
No, you're listening. You're paying undivided attention to
this
them.
is a show. This
Yeah.
is a show. This is not background music. And you can find background music in a lot of places, and you can go and talk. But this one specifically, our secret shows, and they happen. We always look for local venues, locally owned businesses that are from here, from El Paso. And so we're already on our 5th year. Reyes Federal Credit Union sponsors us every year.
Nice.
And so we get to look for different local venues. And so you just come, and we have our video audio production company. We take video. We do, it's like a whole production.
Yeah.
You know, it would be pretty cool, if it's for kids, right? You would get modern music, what they're listening to, and somehow it was sampled by this
Yeah.
old jazz musician. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And say, okay, you like this song, but it came from here.
Right,
Yeah.
derived from here. Yes.
Yeah, that's
where
kinda
it came
cool.
from.
Like the sampled jazz, or
Yeah.
that influenced the music there, because they're listening to jazz,
Right.
They're listening to blues, but they don't realize it.
Of
Right.
course.
And there's an origin. There's nothing really original now. It's all
Yeah.
It's all watered down.
it's all
Yeah.
watered down, and it's coming from the original art forms.
Yeah.
That's definitely something, because I think somebody, actually, I haven't heard it in the Wu-Tang album, somebody had said, to know where you're going, you got to know where you came from.
Of course.
And that'd be a great transition, because actually there's an album that, so how we're always on YouTube trying to listen for music. There's one album that came out that was a Wu-Tang inspired album,
Oh,
but
wow.
it's all jazz band members playing the actual background music. It's fucking
That's-
amazing.
That I gotta
It
check
blows-
that out.
it
I
blows
haven't.
your fucking
I need to.
mind, yeah.
I need to definitely check
Yeah,
that out.
I'll see if I can bring it up right now on the phone. But it's and like I said, if you have to have somebody who has, I guess, an appreciation for music.
Yeah.
But to like truly, and like for us who hip hop heads who are like, about the beats, the samples, the lyricism, and then when you hear something like that and the twist on it, it's like, holy shit. It brings it to a whole different level of appreciation for what these guys are actually doing.
I think it was the lack of information for us to start digging, like digging in the crates. Like now you can pull up a song and you know who sampled, and everybody has to get credit. Like Biz Markie, they pulled his album, and because they didn't get no clearance while they were sampling, so we would hear it and be like, "Wow, man, I got to find that."
Yeah.
So you go in there and you buy the most obscure records, and you have to listen to the whole album.
Yep.
In order, okay, that's where it came from.
And the most of it is just it's a 5-second sample off of a drum solo, usually where they came from.
Yeah.
And that's where they get it. And they piece this sample with that.
Okay.
Yeah, when you start
amazing.
getting into funkadelic and
and what's crazy about that is like there's also like, have you guys like truly listened to like gospel music? Mm-hmm. Like there's also like some kind of like relation, right, to that, because it's like it's so like intense in your face sometimes that you're just like you just feel like you just feel it, and I that's the beauty about this, like how the timeline of this music and the influences it has made now to where and I don't want to discredit like certain songs, like music now right now, like whatever's playing is a little bit harder for me to listen to, in the sense of
it all sounds the same.
Yes, and the lyrics.
Okay. The lyrics as far as
like there's I can't listen to The Baby and like
because you can't relate.
Shake your ass and I'm like I well, first of all, like I'm like, okay, what is this song about? Okay, it's about women like twerking and at the bar drinking, and I'm like,
that's disgusting.
Cool. Yeah, sure. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, if you like that, that's cool. I'm not judging that. Right. I'm just saying, like, I can't do a full song. That's where I'm cutting, like, sometimes off, but I'm not discrediting that it's music, right? Like I'm saying, okay, but
it's not for me.
It's just not your taste.
Not for me. And that's what I tell people. Jazz might not be for you in the sense of like, but you don't know what style of jazz you like or don't like. There's subgenres of jazz.
There's like 30 different
Same thing
types.
About rap. The same thing about country.
Because you have Miles Davis, and then they're like, people can't listen to him, and they'd be like, no, he's not the greatest. You would go with, Marcellus, and it's just so it depends who you're into. I mean, people know the mainstream guy like Miles. Miles
Davis.
But Miles Davis was great, but there was also a lot of great other great artists on there. You know what I'm saying? It's just he was just a different kind of jazz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was the most featured.
Yeah, of course, and it's probably closer to our generation that we can like relate to, and we saw more promotion versus like a Louis Armstrong or like some of these older
Billie Holiday,
like Oscar Peterson on piano, like all these like wait what, and once you start kind of digging in, you finally like say, oh, okay, this is cool, and that's what we taught like at the summer workshops. Like we were like, guys, you need to listen to this. If you want to play this music, you need to know where it came from.
Yeah,
you need to hear
what they're talking about.
Yeah, like you don't just play to play, right. And then a lot of kids are like, well, it's I can't improvise, or it's hard to do improvisation, and I'm like, it's not because you have to do it a certain way. You should be feeling a way, right? Yes, you gotta theoretically gotta understand how to read music, how to play it. You gotta know the technique and the skills on your instrument or whatever you're doing. But then after that, it's kind of like just like anything, like you like a sports person, they don't just start running track and they're fast. Like you got to warm up, you got to do drills, you got to do it takes this time to finally say, okay, now I know what I'm good at, now I know what I need to do to prepare myself mentally to get there, and then you're connected to yourself to be able to do something. That's the same thing. It's the same thing.
So I know you said your family, because like I said, I know your brother, he's trumpet player or trombone?
Trombone.
Trombone
Yeah.
player.
Rusty trombone.
I know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
I just do it. So I know you said your family is huge on music, and I know because I've had this conversation with your brother about music, especially when we're drinking. It always happens when we're drinking. Never
Vicente?
fails.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, actually no. He's more of a rockhead.
Yeah. he
But
likes it.
being from this area, how did you get into jazz? Because, like you said, we have here. It's all chente, it's all banda, it's peso pluma and all that shit, and a little bit more rock and a little bit now. I guess now it's more a little bit more R&B. Before then, we didn't have it because they never.
Well,
played
it was freestyle. Before
Yeah, it was
then.
freestyle. But how did you get into jazz specifically when you have all these other genres that El Paso's more known for?
Yeah, like Stevie
Well-
B.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? Like, first of all, my mom, she was a vocalist for a local group called Azúcar here in El Paso for 25 years. And my mom was the lead singer, and my dad also played with Azúcar, but my dad also played trombone and sang for different local bands that were Black Tide. Like, these are probably old school bands that maybe some people don't even know about anymore, but Hidden Smile. There's just like a lot of local, musicians. So I grew up with like the musician world, the musician group, people. And so my mom, Azúcar and them, they'd play like salsa, merengue, cumbia. Like, so I understood and had the appreciation for that. And then I would hear my dad, and my dad would be playing, like Billy Joel and all the old school they do different styles and classic rock and top 40s and stuff like that. And then but my dad and my mom really enjoyed jazz and had music and had cassettes there of music they'd listen to. And my dad played trombone in the Navy band for a long time. He went to Italy and he was in the performing band. So having them as like musicians and understanding like music and the appreciation for it was like, my dad would put on Stevie Wonder. I know all the Stevie Wonders. Like as a kid, I knew like
That's the
Stevie
man.
Wonder, you know what I mean? And growing up to Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra and then I was just like, that's cool. Like I would have never heard it if they never put it, right?
Yeah.
Like until you put something that you would never hear and you're like, wow, I really gravitate to that. And then I remember they gave me a cassette of Ella Fitzgerald, one of her first albums. And I remember a cassette player, I had my the two cassettes and, whatever. And I was able to listen to the cassette and I just fell and I was like, I want to sing like that. Like I was like, how does she do that? And if you've never heard of Ella Fitzgerald, she's the song, the Lady of Song. That's what was her nickname. But she literally was amazing in scat singing, and she was, had this unique voice, and she'd be able to do something, and I'd be like, man, and so all I would do was just sit in my room, like rewind and then repeat and just try to learn how she would sing. And I slowly started like gravitating to that until one day I was like, Mom, Dad, like, can I go sing with you at this one place? And what do you want to sing? Yeah, I want to sing this song called Route 66. And they were like, oh, okay, sure. And then I fell in love. Like, it was just like a moment where I was like, I love this. I love feeling like this. I love singing. And I was nervous still, but, and I even grew up like dancing folklorico for like age 4 through 18. So I was immersed in the Mexican music and I was immersed in our culture and everything. But there was something about this music that just
Kept calling you.
yeah. And I said, I want to do this music. And at a very young age, by like 12, 13, I started singing with my mom, every now and then when she'd play at the Lancers Club. There used to be a Lancers Club in the West Side on the top floor. That there was like all this stuff.
On Mesa, right?
Yeah, on Mesa. And I was like maybe 13, 14. And then these, nonprofit organizations would help. That's how I got immersed into something like that. And that's how I feel why it's so important to do that, the same thing. We need to create opportunities so that they can at least try it. Kids need to try different things.
Yep.
And if they don't try it, you'll never know.
Yeah.
You just never know what they might gravitate to, what they might be good at, what might help them. You don't know unless you try it. And sometimes I don't have kids, but I say, like, you know, I tell my, you know, friends or parents, and I'm like, dude, have them try different things. Don't let them just try what you want them to try.
Right.
You know, it's cool because you're like, oh, well, you know, I like football and I like they might not like it, and they might try music, and they might end up being the best musician here in El Paso. You know, so it's like, give that opportunity to your kids, and that's kind of how it worked. And then as I kind of kept going and doing my music career, I graduated from Hanks High School, 2004.
Damn,
you're
Back
young.
in the day.
Yeah,
I know.
You're younger than us.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
that's
definitely
sad.
younger.
Jesus,
No.
shots fired.
No. Just a few years. Not that far
Shots
away.
fired.
But I went to Hanks, and then I was in the band, and then in 2003, I was a junior. I tried out for the first El Paso Idol here in El Paso.
Oh shit.
Oh, really?
It was the very first one.
Was that a Crosby thing?
2003. It was at Speaking Rock, and K Fox did, like, they did a whole thing. And so I ended up winning the contest, and I went to Pasadena, California, to represent El Paso as the El Paso Idol.
Nice.
And I didn't make it through. And it was the year, you know what year it was if you watch American Idol? It was Ruben Studdard and Clay Aiken.
Oh.
That was the year that I
Ooh.
tried out. That was the year that I tried out for,
Oh, wow.
or went to American Idol in California. And then I came back, and it just opened up doors. It was just opportunities that I was able to be like, this is cool. I want to keep doing it. It didn't discourage me. If anything, it encouraged me to do it better and, you know, do more and do as much as I can. And then I met my husband, and we met at UTEP. We both went to UTEP, and then that's when we...
UTEP.
Yeah, UTEP. And then that's how we ended up, you know, staying here. We taught for a year music at Loretto Academy for a private school 1 year. Then he decided to get his master's, and we went and we moved to New Jersey. We were there for about 10 years, and now we're back.
Damn. So what were you studying at UTEP?
I did commercial music. I was doing vocal commercial music. So that was actually a new program that I was probably like the third generation class that graduated from that.
Okay.
When I
Really?
graduated, from that degree. And so it's pretty much just like introducing you to the music business, contracts, also understanding like studio work when you have to record, but then also like learning about like how to just kind of survive in the music industry.
Yeah.
But then I you know, it only teaches you so much, but when you're in the real world, you have to start learning even more stuff, right? Like it's a whole
adaptation.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
This is a little dispute that we always have here. So you're
I already know where you're going.
Uh-oh.
I already know where you're going.
Go for it.
Let me just ask. I just need to ask
for
your
it.
opinion. Okay, so I'm a Prince fan.
I knew it.
I mean, he's a Michael Jackson fan. Who's a better artist? If you have to pick.
That could be taken in different ways.
Well, we all know the singer-songwriter. You know, it's hands down Prince. And mind you, Prince came out with a jazz album. It was called
not that
Madhouse.
you're going one way, right? Not
I
that
gotta
you're
say,
pushing
like,
one way.
if you're gonna say it that way, like singer-songwriter Prince wrote a lot of his music.
Absolutely, and for
Then
a
you
lot
had
of other people.
then you had Stevie Wonder and Quincy Jones
We're not-
writing for Michael Jackson.
yeah, okay.
But
So it's 3 against
why
1.
did but let me say this though, like Quincy Jones and Stevie Wonder writing that music knew exactly who they wanted it for. And so Michael Jackson, I mean,
Performer.
yeah, performer, but also was the only one that if you had Prince singing what he sang, I don't know if it'd be the same, right?
It'd be better.
But don't get me wrong, I absolutely love both. I love Prince
So,
in this. I have.
So
I
who
love
you
him.
going with?
For the record,
Who are you going with?
Who's better? I can't say who's better.
it's Michael Jackson. That's what she was saying.
Is that what you're
That's
saying?
what she was
Is
saying.
that what you're saying?
She's
No.
leaning.
Please.
She's leaning towards Mike.
I mean, you're an educated woman on
So-
music-wise. This is your specialty.
They're both entertainers. They were both like top entertainers. They
Okay.
both understood the music and the style of music.
One a little bit more than the other, but go ahead.
but
Maybe
I can't pick.
Okay.
If I had to pick, my preference, just because of the music, the music would be Michael Jackson.
Oh my God!
But
I'm sorry. I'm so
but wait,
sorry.
wait. Let me just put this though.
There's a caveat to it.
Yeah.
The singer-songwriter and some of the top music that he specifically wrote, hands down,
The symbol.
for sure.
Call it what you want.
Prince.
So again, I'm
Call it
like,
what
And you
want.
listen to it now, and I'm like, I couldn't hear Michael Jackson. You could probably have Michael Jackson sing that, but it wouldn't be the same. Versus, like, you would have Prince singing what Michael Jackson wouldn't be
No,
the same.
I kind of think. Well, I won't. I'll give him that he was a better performer, and that's about it.
but that's because, and I think the only reason because of that is because Michael cared more about putting a show. Prince cared more about the
Connecting.
music
I agree.
and sitting and having that personal one-on-one.
Which he connected
you.
more,
Yeah,
I think.
so. It's a difference. You know what I mean?
There is a difference.
It's a
Anyways,
difference.
Don't try. Don't try. to
It's
poke
just
the
like
fire.
asking who's better, the Chiefs or the Raiders. Like one plays football, the other ones just have a home
Raiders.
fucking
Raiders,
Vegas.
baby.
Yeah, losers.
Yeah.
Losers.
There you go. There you go.
No. But I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like saying, like, who was better, Tony Bennett or Frank Sinatra?
Frank Sinatra.
Well, Frank has a long. I think his catalog's
So
his catalog's more known than Tony Bennett. But Tony
But
Bennett's
like-
catalog is a lot longer.
Yeah, it's he has a lot more
But-
music.
So if you asked me that question, I would say I really had more not more respect. I shouldn't say it that way. I preferred Tony Bennett because I felt like he was more like he phrased music and he understood jazz music, where Frank Sinatra didn't know how to sing jazz music until he started singing with a Count Basie band when Quincy Jones was writing for him. Going back to Quincy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's
Once
a man.
If
Quincy.
you listen to the album, check it out when you get a chance. Frank Sinatra live at the Sands. He's with the Count Basie Orchestra. That's the most I've ever heard Frank Sinatra like swing sing. Like, you make me young.
But be
Like,
careful what you're saying because you're talking about Frank. You
Yeah.
can get whacked.
I
too.
love
You'll get
Frank
whacked.
I'm just
Sinatra.
saying, for
Definitely
the
get whacked.
record, I'm.
That's the only reason I like him because he was
I
a
like
gangster.
Frank Sinatra.
Frank was a gangster.
He was
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Hoboken, New Jersey. You know, like and he's definitely they're both Italian. You know,
Yeah.
like
No, he's a gangster.
But I absolutely loved Frank Sinatra once he started going with that band. And see, that's what I'm saying. Like Quincy Jones and these writers know exactly who they're writing for and know who can produce that music
put that out
correctly in the way that they're envisioning and wanting it to sound.
It's just like when Prince gave Sinead O'Connor that one song that she the only
He
hit
didn't
she
write it
had.
for her. He didn't write.
No,
for her.
he wrote it
didn't
for
write
himself. He just couldn't.
He
It
didn't
didn't
write it for her.
have. Didn't translate
She
the same
just-
way she did it.
He just blessed her.
Because he put it out before her, right?
Well,
He put the
okay.
song out before her.
Well, yeah,
and
he
then
sang
he
it,
gave
but-
it to her.
No, he put
'Cause she-
the family.
The
Okay.
family put it out.
The family put it out, and
Yeah.
which was actually, Prince wrote like about 5 or 6 albums in 1 year. But I mean, that's a whole different
neither
thing. Let me
here nor
digress.
there.
Yeah, but
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
The family, the time,
Yeah.
his album Maserati, and then he made
Stay on point.
Anyways, but I know it's over your head. I'm just saying.
Stay on point. I know you just want to get those few jabs in, but he put it out first, and it didn't do as well. And then, or the family put it out first, and then Sinead got a hold of it, and he's like, "Do it." And that's what made her what she was. Who, rest in peace, she just passed away. A few
Yeah,
weeks
no,
ago.
Yeah.
I like Sinead O'Connor. She was great.
Yeah, she
Great
was,
musician.
She was nuts.
And rest in peace to Tony Bennett. Also,
Tony
just
B.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was already like 86, 89.
Really? I thought he was
Yeah.
86, like in 92.
No, you know what?
Like
He might have been. He
140.
might have been older. Actually,
was like 140.
He was probably like
That dude
yeah.
had some years.
That
on
dude
him,
was a
boy.
vampire.
Yeah. So that that's like, and I mean, it was so sad because but not even sad. If anything, like that proves the point of music. He had dementia, but the fact that he could remember
His
the
music?
lyrics,
Yeah.
that just shows you that how music can, what you were saying, going back, like it could take you to a time where you know exactly what was happening, how
Right.
it smelled, where you were, who was there. Like the fact that music is that kind of therapy, it just 100% like shows like it can take you somewhere. It does something to you.
Sometimes it takes me to a dark place.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'll be listening to a song and then I'm like, damn, I used to love this song, but that person was there. I hate this fucking song now.
Dude, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, those are feelings, right? Like it's all valid.
You know what's trippy? I was so I showed my old lady this, and it was something going on TikTok I heard. You remember the song from Jimmy Eat World, In the Middle? It's an old rock song. I can't play because then YouTube will take us down. So it's basically it's a fast song, but when you listen to the words, I was listening to the words the other day, dude. It's a fucked up song. Like
send it to me. Yeah.
So like in the like the hook, right? Just the hook itself, it says, "Just take some time, little girl. You're in the middle of the ride. Everything is gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be all right. So,
okay.
So like, yeah. So you know what? So when you hear it, it's a fast paced song and it's fucking upbeat. And it's like, I think even the video is like a party fucking video. But when you slow down and see and read the lyrics, dude, I was like, holy shit! I never knew that. Like this dude's trying to tell somebody, yo, don't fucking take yourself out. Mm-hmm. You got to go through this. This is all just a fucking ride. Just fucking chill. Yeah. Don't listen to what everybody fucking tells you. Enjoy. You just do you. You're gonna get through this little rough ride. Mm-hmm. But when you actually hear the song, it's like, God damn, that's an upbeat song. But when you see the lyrics, you're like, oh shit, this dude was hurting. Something's wrong with this. This dude needs a hug.
Yeah. And you know what? That's where I have the respect for any vocalist. Mm-hmm. As a vocalist, I had to learn that I'm the storyteller. Mm-hmm. Because I'm the one that's going to be able to connect by the language that I'm speaking, right? Like we all understand English. I'm going to say words that you're going to connect. Versus when you hear an instrumentalist perform and you're like mesmerized and they're connecting, it's because they're in the moment, they're connected, but they're also like pretty much making you feel what they're feeling. Right. And that's the beauty of like jazz music, the expression. This music is being adopted worldwide by every country that you can think of. You get people from France, you get people from London, from Spain, from every part of the world. We can find jazz music. Every part of the world. You can go to a jazz club or a jazz musician. I could go to Saudi Arabia and I guarantee that I could go and I don't even have to know the language. Right. I could just be like, hey, we're just going to play this blues. 1, 2, 3, and we play. That, for me, tops every genre. Like, that's the beauty of what jazz music can do and how it connects with so many people.
So before we start losing tracks, I mean, I think we could talk music.
Ever.
Dude, we're already like almost an hour at it. So
cool.
Let's talk about the Jazz Exchange, which we were going to get into earlier, but then we just started talking about Prince and
we started talking about greatness.
I agree. Greatness, definitely.
So, tell us, what is the Jazz Exchange that you have here set up here, the nonprofit that you have here in El Paso?
So we're just pretty much we're a nonprofit. We're music education. We're focused on building communities through music. That's our mission statement. And it's something that, like I mentioned, if you didn't hear the first part of what we were talking about, then you kind of now understand why we're doing what we do. Right. And the nonprofit, is just kind of why we would just like, this is our way of paying back, paying it forward, and coming to support the next generation of musicians. And so we have several programs that we've been doing. And like I mentioned, the secret shows, that was like really kind of how we kind of started molding, like, how do we get people to go listen to live music again? Right. How do we get people to go just be open to listening to jazz music? And this is just another way. It's not like that we're trying to overcome something that's already happening. There's jazz music in El Paso. You can go to the International Bar on Thursdays downtown.
That was my next question. Where can I find this?
You can go to International. That they have jazz music every Thursdays there, and it's cool. We bring people in from out of town. There's different things happening. There's different places that are happening. I'm still coming back. It was crazy because like I played in so many places that are now like called something different. Like the Berkeley used to be the Network, and that's where I used to play jazz. Like it's like all these different places. Mesa Street Bar and Grill. Like there's different places here in El Paso, but I think that's what we're trying to just really come in and just support the community and get people to be like, oh, I know where jazz is happening, or the Jazz Exchange is doing this, and there's different places happening. So that's really kind of what our, we have that program. So we have the secret shows, and then we started this other program called Sun City Jazz Sessions.
Okay.
And that one kind of was born from, we said we need to have like some kind of public jazz events where they're not secrets, right? Where people know that there's where they're going to go and where they're going to see, jazz music. And anytime like we have artists from out of town, and out of town could even just mean from Juarez or from Albuquerque, Las Cruces, like anybody outside of El Paso, we'll just have them as a special guest. And so then the locals get to perform there, and then we have a jam session. And a jam session is pretty much like we invite the kids, any musician to just come. The band will play a set, and then all of a sudden, again, it shows you how we can all just play music together, not even knowing each other, not ever playing with each other, but we know the language, we know the repertoire of this music. We can say, all right, let's play Blue Skies. Blue Skies. Everybody knows the song. If you don't know it, you sit down, you learn it, you write it down, and you say, next time I come to a jam session, I'm going to learn this song. So it's just like a constant way of also teaching and educating younger musicians or anybody who's out there trying to do some jazz. And so those happen, whenever they happen, whenever somebody's coming and visiting El Paso. So those aren't like a constant thing, but they do happen.
Hey, maybe it's you could start playing your recorder. Remember?
Do you play recorder?
Yeah, that, and he does the harmonica.
Do you play harmonica, really?
Don't listen to the things.
Come on, man. Harmonica really is a good instrument.
This is coming from somebody who loves Prince. Don't listen. You don't know shit.
No, his accordion.
You don't know shit.
He jams out the accordion.
I got to listen to that for sure.
I have zero inkling of musical talent at all. I have a guitar I bought.
Okay.
12 years ago.
Okay.
One of these days I'm going to learn how to fucking play it. It just sits there.
Well,
It's a Fender that I got.
brings me to another point. Like we're starting our school year. We want to start a year-round program of after-school music. So anybody who's interested in being part of our after-school program, we're going to start it end of September all the way to May. And this is after school, so
Yeah.
it's not going to bother anybody unless you're in marching band. There's a lot of different things, but you'll be going from either some like 5 p.m. all the way to 8:30. We have different classes happening, like a big band class, a combo. Combo classes are just smaller ensembles, like maybe a bass, drum, guitar, trumpet, and saxophone. So they're just just smaller groups. And then we have a vocal jazz ensemble, and then we'll be doing some private lessons for kids ages 11 all the way to 18. And then as we kind of get settled in and starting to do our year-round program, we'll probably open it up, and I think we should open it up to just any age to do private lessons with some of the locals here that are teachers.
Yeah.
So if you're ready for that guitar lesson.
I need to because before the arthritis starts kicking in.
Oh
I
man.
usually can do. I was so good with my fingers. I don't know what happened.
It's only good with the right hand.
I'll switch it up.
Oh man.
You see what you opened up?
I'm sorry, but
This is what you
no,
opened up.
but
I wanna
definitely
I'm sure the old lady will appreciate it once I get better with the
the fingers.
once I get better
Yeah,
with my fingers.
a little bit faster,
But I was a DJ, so I do got the little.
Oh, okay, okay.
I got a little bit of it.
You got a little bit of it.
A little bit.
All
I
right.
just got
Alright.
to perfect it now. I just got
it.
Get it with without the calluses.
Yeah, I always wondered kind of like why do the guitar players always have girlfriends and stuff like that? I don't know. I don't know.
They got that flick of the wrist.
Or the trumpet players. I don't know.
They got that flick of the wrist.
but yeah, so we'll be doing that. And then the other education program that we have right now that I think I was talking to you guys earlier was it's called Jazz Beyond Fronteras. And this one has been going on for 5 years. We partner up with a nonprofit up in New Jersey. And the nonprofit is called Jazz House Kids in New Jersey.
Okay.
And this is with 8-time Grammy Award jazz bassist, one of the best top bass players in the world. And his name is Christian McBride. And then his wife, Melissa Walker, she's the president. And so they have an amazing, renowned nonprofit. I used to work for them, and I was artist relations with them. So I got to meet like Sheila E. I got to meet Eddie Palmeri. I got to meet I got to work with some of the top jazz artists at a jazz festival. And so right now, we have kids from El Paso and Juarez that we take every year during this time, August, to go up to the Jazz House Kids 2-week summer jazz camp that they have. It's a workshop. And so they get to work with the local top jazz musicians in New York City, New Jersey area. They get to work with Christian McBride. They get to like, Christian McBride is also like the artistic director. If you haven't heard of him, he's like on Jazz Night in America on NPR. You definitely, like, he has like a unique dark deep voice. He's like amazing, a great radio voice, and he also is the artistic director for the Newport Jazz Festival. So they just finished that, and they bring in like Kamasi Washington. They bring in all these guys, Anderson Paak. Like, they've brought in some like really cool, like it leans into like what jazz is, right? Like there's some, the hip hop feel, there's the Latin feel. They're bringing, there's a lot of representation in the Cuban, Latin American, Latin jazz music. And so that's one of the things that is so cool for these kids, to just get the opportunity to go out and be in New York and play with, like, because when you're in El Paso, you're kind of like in a bubble. Yeah. Right? Yep. And that's 100% true. And I'm talking for myself too, because when I was here, I was like, oh man, like, there's no other jazz singers. I'm the best. Like, I'm good. And, until my parents were like, calm down, like, but then I stepped out of the El Paso area, went into New York, and I heard other people, and I was like, I'm not the best, I'm
not that level
I'm not there yet, know what I mean? And it humbles you, and it makes you understand that, this is a craft. You got to really work on what you're doing, and so some people can get discouraged from it and give up, and some can take it as a lesson to learn and get better. But I hope more people take that route. Whenever something is uncomfortable, I say that's when you're learning. Anything that if you're uncomfortable and you're like, I don't like it, I don't know. Obviously for the right reasons. I'm not, there's some things that are not right. But when you're in a music situation and you listen to somebody who's better than you, and you say, I can't do this, or I don't want to sing anymore because I'm just not that good, then, that's a situation when you say, I'm just uncomfortable because I'm not there yet. I need to, do I want to get there? What do I like about this singer that I want to become, help myself? And those are ways of getting people to get a little bit motivated. So these kids, they got one more week. This is their last week. Last night they performed at the Dizzy's Coca-Cola Jazz Club, Jazz at Lincoln Center, New York City. You can follow us on social media on the Jazz Exchange and Instagram. We're posting like their journey through it, and it's really cool. We have a bass player, Emiliano, who's from Juarez, a girl, Amy Chavez, she's also a bassist, and then we have a drummer student from El Paso. His name is Christian Nino, and he's from Coronado High School. He just graduated. So they're getting these opportunities to just be out there and do something like that. And so this week they'll finish off their week by playing at one of the jazz festivals there in Montclair, New Jersey. And so they come back, and this is where, like, when they come back is where we're kind of like, okay, like, we can connect you to the right people to go to school. We've already had, like, we had this one drummer who went back in 2018. His name was Balam Sarreano. Graduated from Hanks, and he was like, I'm going to go to Denton, North Texas for the great jazz program there in Dallas. And then we were like, okay, cool. Well, definitely just come and just be open to checking out the East Coast, see what they have. Ended up loving it. He's going to school at the New School Music in New York City, and he's almost about to graduate. He's been like playing with some people, like starting to build his career. And I'm like, are you going to come back to El Paso? He's like, not anytime soon. But I was like, he's going to come. He comes and visits, And so those are things that, like, if we can help them, even if they come back, they're studying at UTEP, they're studying at NMSU, they're studying in Juarez. They're like, they're getting their education, and that's what we want. And so most of our alumni are still studying music, and that's like some of the cool things that I'm starting to be like, if we can create that next generation, they're the future that is going to continue this music. And as long as they know, that's cool.
Absolutely.
That's fucking wild.
I know, it's crazy.
So the Jazz Exchange, that's what the jazzexchange.com, right?
It's www.thejazzexchange.org. O-R-G. Yeah, O-R-G.
Okay.
And you can find, all our education programs. If your kids or anybody want to, go to New York City and they're really adamant about, like, I want to study music, then, the Jazz Beyond Fronteras program will be a way to also do something like that. We also will have, next year, we're going to plan again for our jazz festival that we did this year and our summer workshops. So we're just trying to just expand and get more, involved with the kids and involved with the future generation of what they're doing.
So from the Jazz Exchange, when you're teaching, how much did you ever see the movie Whiplash?
Yes.
How much is that like that? Is that how you teach? You start throwing symbols at people and shit?
That was a good flick.
That was so intense. Like sometimes, but you know what? Like Buddy Rich, though, like if you hear like stories from him, like you hear people talking about like, oh yeah, I was in Buddy Rich's band. You know, when you watch like these old school like documentaries, and he did throw like things at us, and but he was such a perfectionist. And when you heard his band, like if you heard Buddy Rich's big band and orchestra and stuff, they were the tightest band ever. Like you go and listen to them, and you're like,
because they're fearing for their life.
Yeah, right. They were fearing for him, but then there were some people who were like, that was so cool. Like I got to meet some of these old school like legend, musicians that are like in their 80s, 90s, still alive right now.
Right.
And they were like, I played one time with Buddy Rich, and I was like, like. The fact that he's alive still telling me this, it was just like, blows my mind. And I was like, how is it that, like, how was it? And he's like, well,
that's some of a bitch.
He's like, yeah, I know, right? He was like, no, just kidding. But he was more like, you know what? He liked me. I showed up on time. I knew my music. That's all he wanted. That's all he wanted. He's a very nice guy when he likes you. And I was like,
he only beat me up twice.
That's right? That's it. But like all that stuff, like just even being over there listening to stories from like, you hear like a like a dog
Johnny
Cash.
That's Johnny Cash right there. That's my boy Johnny.
You hear these cool stories of like, oh yeah, I played with this, and I played with, I got to talk to different musicians working as artist relation, and it was cool. It was just cool to hear those kind of stories when you get to sit down. It's like talking to your grandparents, like when you were young, what did you do? Like, how did you meet grandma? And like it's just like it's like kind of mind blowing because you're like, I met
her at the Naked Harem when it first opened.
Oh my God, which they're changing now.
Grandma's her original name was Peppermint. She was known as Cinnamon me when I met her.
Yeah,
now she's Olga. Now she's Grandma Olga and shit. She was Cinnamon.
They called her Capirotada. Yeah. So yeah, you guys can follow us on social media, our website.
They called me Choco Meat.
There you go.
So from the so I know big city, Manhattan, New York, you got all the boroughs and all that, and then you come back here. How different is the acceptance of jazz compared between both cities? Between I guess the local acceptance out there in New York and then what you have here, because a lot of people don't even know what jazz is.
You have to say Yaz.
You can say Yaz or you can say jazz, whatever you say it, but I think let me say this. When we go to Juarez, there is a huge acceptance of jazz music, more than El Paso, way more. There's a people who, again, this music was adopted by different countries, by the whole world globally. And so there's a huge respect for that music. Right. And I feel like when you're in the States, it's not as like respected within the States. Like people just kind of like,
it's forgotten about.
It's forgotten. It's a lost art form. Yeah, it truly is. But there is a scene. There is a small scene here in El Paso. There are some jazz lovers and art music, everything lovers. I would say the acceptance, I can't compare it because one, the Black community in the East Coast is a larger community that understands and accepts the music and is very involved in that community. Versus being here where it's a more Mexican, it's more, there is a Black community here, and we've connected with some Black community musicians and people who love this music. But believe me, there is a good chunk of people who love this music. Yeah. I think what we're not trying to worry about those people. We know they'll come and listen. Right. I'm focused on the other ones, future generation, the younger group. I want them to know where this music is, where it comes from, that it's from here. It's their music, so that they're empowered and they understand whether you like it, whether you continue to listen to it or not, you have the appreciation of what the music is in general. And so I think that's, and overall, it's just important. It's our duty as a musician to be able to do that for the next generation.
Damn, that's a lot. That's heavy.
It's a lot of responsibility.
I
It's
feel
a
like
lot.
we're in the back of the jazz band, just fucking.
Yeah.
You gotta, that's how you clap it up. That's how you clap it up, boy.
Yeah. But you know, and the only thing I always just say is like, don't ever underestimate yourself. Like,
Right.
don't ever not give yourself the opportunity to try something. Even you at your age right now, wherever you're at, you can still be part of it. Even if you might be the greatest jazz guitarist and you never touched the jazz guitars.
I'd go more blues.
His finger game isn't up to par.
My finger game's the shit.
It's not up to par.
Dude, I'll fuck a banjo up, son.
I bet you will.
I'll fuck a banjo up, boy. You have no idea.
Blam,
Just give me something that got 2 strings and I'm good, dude.
And that brings me to another point. That one of our secret shows, we had a bluegrass group play, and they're really good friends. She used to be my teacher at UTEP when I was going to school, and she said, "Oh, have you ever heard of?" And at that time I hadn't heard about bluegrass. I knew about it, but I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
And she came to the school and played with her band, and I was just like, "Wow, this is so cool to hear this style of music." And so we said we have to have them at a secret show. And these people, like the people at the secret show, were just kind of like, what? Like, never expected, did not know what they were gonna hear, did not know until when you hear the music and you're just like, damn, I actually like this music. Like, this made me feel good. Like, I was happy to hear something.
Bluegrass is a lot more upbeat, right?
Yeah. And it's a lot like vocal harmonies, like it's very it's also
country.
the roots of country and where that
shit.
comes from. So
There's rumors.
Yep.
So just came in from Twitter. Prince is not the shit. All right. So even Twitter fucking agreed.
Who said that?
I just deleted it. I don't know. It came in from Elon.
Get the fuck out of here.
The fucking computer listens, dude. The AI listens to everything.
AI, man, it's coming out for us. And I heard Wynton Marsalis saying, one of the things I just saw him doing like a workshop for like some orchestral work. I don't know where. I saw it on social media. And then he, one of the comments, he was like, "Can I say something, maestro?" And the maestro was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Guys, I need you to, connect with this music. When it needs to be big, go big. When it needs to be, soft, go soft." He's like, "Have you guys?" And then he says, "Have you guys ever heard of mariachi?"
Oh shit.
And then all of them were kind of like, "No, yes, no, whatever." And he's like, those guitar players, they really go into it because that's the moment to do it.
Right.
He's like, "I need you guys to do that." He's like, "This is where AI cannot beat us." He's like, "AI is coming out for us. AI doesn't have feelings. AI doesn't know the emotions. I need you guys to show AI what it is to be a real person." I was like, "Oh, and I haven't thought about that because it is coming out for us. It is coming out for us in every
The takeover.
Every aspect of our lives.
He's been sending me songs.
What I sent you, was it Frank Sinatra singing Get Low?
Yeah.
From Yin Yang Twins?
What?
Yeah. I'll
With
show
AI?
you right now. Yep. It's dude. Yeah, I heard that. I was like, dude, this is
It sounded awesome though. I kind of like the song now.
It's blasphemy.
well, anything that turns into jazz should be cool.
But,
no, just kidding.
It is different.
I agree.
It's AI
proves my point about
AI. Terminator is real. Terminator shit is real.
Yeah.
All these crazy people that came out years ago that showed you, a lot of it looks a lot of real, a lot more real and scary now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't ever try to live in the fear of things like that. I try to just live in the moment.
Yeah.
And try to do as much as I can and the best that I can. But it's not that I don't think about those things. You got to think about what our future is going to be. And I feel like if we can connect with our younger generation, they're the change. Yeah. They really are. And one of the things that I just was, my generation, I'll just specifically say in me, I'm 37. I will be, I'm 37 in late 30s. Yeah. But my generation, kind of like I haven't seen a lot of movement and everybody's kind of focused on our own. Like, it's like kind of like if we didn't come back, I don't know, like these things, opportunities and getting kids and showing talent of El Paso and Juarez, like wouldn't be happening.
Scary.
And nobody would know. So like we have to do something. You have to put in the time,
Yeah,
put in
absolutely.
the time. Put in the time, put in the effort. Just like your mentors or your teachers did it.
Yep.
You're next.
You
You need to
pay
do it.
forward.
You have to.
Definitely got to pay it forward. So Candice Reyes-Mireles, also find her on Candice Reyes Music and Jazz_Dice, right?
Yeah, that one's my personal one.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Find her at www.jazzexchange.org, thejazzexchange.org.
Yep.
I appreciate you coming out here and taking time and educating us on music. Something I want to do something that we don't do. Hopefully we could try something that this will start happening now more often. I want to ask you 10 questions. Okay?
Okay.
Spitfire questions. First thing that come to your mind, quick answer, and we'll go on to the next one. Yes?
Oh, dang. It's like improvising.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Dang.
Scat,
Okay.
scat,
So
I'll just scat the whole
just scat
time.
it. All right. So just quick answers. Go through this, and then we'll finish off strong.
Okay.
Yeah? All right. First one is, what instrument best represents you and why?
Vocals. Singing.
Okay.
Side note, your vocals are fucking amazing. I was kind of, when I was talking to your brother and he was telling me, I was like, all right, dude, because everybody's like, oh, my sister could sing. I saw that I was on YouTube. I was like, damn, okay. She can.
Thank you.
She can. Second question.
Thanks.
All right, second question. Finish this statement. Life without music is?
Hopeless.
If you could delete one song from the world, what song would it be?
The baby, whatever song that was, I don't even
His whole
remember.
catalog.
Wow.
His whole catalog.
Wow.
Or Peso Pluma.
Peso Pluma?
I'm just
Damn.
kidding.
Oh, wow.
Okay. What's the sexiest sounding instrument and why?
Saxophone, tenor sax. My husband plays that one.
That's why. If it wasn't for music, either teaching or performing, where would you be?
If it wasn't for music,
Teaching or performing, where would you be?
Oh, I'd probably just be here in El Paso. I don't know. Maybe accounting or
Damn.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Most underrated musician and why?
Most underrated musician and why? Oh my God.
And you can't say Prince because
I could answer that. I could answer that for you.
Most in just in any
In general,
any,
in
general.
general, just a musician.
That one's a hard one for me. If I had to pick something, I would just say
You're under the gun.
Sarah Vaughan. I'll go with
Sarah Vaughan. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I feel like most people either just stick to the two top jazz vocalists. It's like Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, and some of these underrated, vocalists are just as amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
That just came to my mind, but I'm sure there's more.
Jazz is important because
It shows expression. It allows you to be free, and it allows you to express what you are feeling in the moment.
what's the best piece of advice another musician ever gave you?
The best piece of advice. To be real with who you are first and know how you're going to move forward in life with through your music, through your career. So understanding yourself first and giving yourself the time to know what you want and what you're doing so that you're ready to help others.
Okay. What's the biggest flaw in popular music nowadays?
Lyrics.
That's how you can tell you're a vocalist. And the last one, finish the statement. Music is...
Oh my God, these are good questions. I would say music is freedom.
Beautifully said. Candice Reyes-Mireles, leader of the Jazz Exchange, also the CRT, which we didn't even get into, which we definitely need to get into. That's the Candice Reyes
Trio,
or is it the
quintet.
quintet?
I have, well, the CRQ is the band.
Candice Rio Quintet.
Yeah.
Find her on YouTube. Find her on the on Instagram. I'll find her on the www.thejazzexchange.org. I finally got it right. Find her on Instagram. Find her everywhere. Log in there if you want to.
Just find her.
Just find her. Yeah.
Find me somehow.
If you want to enjoy music, if you want to have a different appreciation, if you just want to listen to something with an open ear and an open heart, you definitely got to check her out. Like I said, I was listening to I think some of the stuff you did during COVID, the Zoom songs you had, or the Zoom sessions.
Yeah. Yeah, those were
super
cool.
dope.
Yeah.
Super good.
And my husband was the one that wanted to do that. I was like, oh, what are we going to do? But, and you can check out Abel Mireles too. Abel is, my husband, and he's just as creative, and he's just as part of, what we're doing right now. And you can, find him, you'll find him in more like popular stuff, like playing in New York, Under the Light and Rockefeller. Like, wow.
Yeah.
So check us out.
We definitely got to have you back with your husband so that we could talk some more music.
Oh, for sure.
Anything? He's still mad about the Prince thing. You lost. No. Yeah, you are.
She said he was the best.
So remember, you got to follow her on Instagram. Follow her on Facebook also.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm not TikTok. Sorry, guys. No. TikTok, no.
YouTube, all that good stuff.
Yeah, YouTube.
Candice Reyes-Mireles, CRQ, the Candice Reyes Quintet, the www.thejazzexchange.org, Candice Reyes-Mireles on Instagram, all that good stuff. Follow her. Listen up if you want lessons, if you want more information, if you want to put your child in something like this, if you just want to get information just about the music or just about the history, hit her up. Definitely got to listen to her on YouTube. Her voice is fucking angelic.
Oh, thank you.
So, till next time, guys, don't be an asshole. Don't be a dick. Deuces.